All right, Christian woman, I'm just wondering if you've read further than Ephesians 2:8-9. So this is what it says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves is a gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast." So everyone likes to stop there. And they like to use this to try and twist his word and basically get out of keeping the 10 Commandments, thinking they can do whatever they want, that, some of the other lies they say, like Jesus paid it all, we're set free from that, I can't do it, it's impossible, all these things. That's what so many people preach in these days. But when you read further, it says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Messiah Yeshua for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." So what then does Ephesians 2:9 mean, not of works, lest anyone should boast? So that's talking about the works of the flesh, or your own self-righteous works, okay? Not the 10 Commandments, because that's what God gave to us, and that was given to us by him through his finger, okay? He wrote the 10 Commandments on 2 tablets of stone so that we should keep them, okay? First 4, how you love God. Last 6, how you love your neighbor as yourself. If you're not keeping the 10 Commandments, you're not loving God and you're not loving your neighbor. Okay, so what then does "for by grace you have been saved through faith" really mean? So his word right here in Titus 2:11-14 defines what grace means. "For the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men." Everybody has some measure of conviction on their hearts, teaching us that denying ungodliness, worldly lust, okay? How else would that happen? By his conviction, okay? His conviction is, basically that voice you hear inside your head where it's like, oh, you should do this, if it's something good, or oh, you shouldn't do that if it's like something bad. And then if you do that something bad, then you feel like absolute crap over it, like, oh, guilty and shame, like, why did I do that? Okay, that's his conviction. It's his gift given to us, okay? It's not of ourselves. We can't convict ourselves, right, of our sin. He does it through his spirit, okay? It's a gift, lest any man should boast, okay? Nobody can boast because it's all through him. Let's see. "Teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present age." How can you live righteously if you're not keeping the 10 Commandments? Because that's God's standard of righteousness that was given to us in Exodus 20. Well, actually, so it's given to Israel, right? But when you enter into life, Matthew 19:17, enter into covenant with God, with Yeshua, through his son, you're going to keep the 10 Commandments. His spirit is going to lead you to do that. And I'm going to show you, because this is what it says. "Looking for the blessed hope and glorious appearing of our great God and Savior Yeshua Messiah, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from every lawless deed." 1 John 3:4, sin is transgression of the law, okay? That's what sin is. So if you're not keeping the 10 Commandments, you are sinning, okay? "And I feel like I keep moving too much, but anyways, "and purify for himself his own special people, zealous for good works." Okay, so how do you get purified and pruned if you're not obeying him? John 15 shows us the way how to be pruned, okay? You got to abide in him, abide in his love, abide in Yeshua, abide in the commandments, and love your neighbor as yourself. So you're not going to get pruned if you don't do that. And his own special people. So where else do you see his own special people? All right, the chapter before the 10 Commandments are given. So this is what it says. "Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a special treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel." All right. So if you want to be a part of a special people, peculiar people, treasure, his people, so that he can be your God, then you have to obey his voice, which is what the 10 Commandments. And you want to know why we know it's the 10 Commandments? Because the next chapter after this, so before he gives them the 10 Commandments, this is what he's saying to them, okay? His voice is the 10 Commandments. And it's even in Deuteronomy 4:13 where it talks about, actually, I'll go to it, where basically it's defined. So Deuteronomy 4:13. "So he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, the 10 Commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. Oh, shoot, actually it was the verse, sorry, it's Deuteronomy 4:12, so it's the verse before that ties into that. And the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the words, but saw no form. You only heard a voice, and then boom, he declared to you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, the 10 Commandments. Okay, so that is his voice. His word defines his voice as the 10 Commandments. So if you have a spirit of conviction on your heart, his spirit of conviction is going to lead you to hear his voice. Okay, it's going to lead you to obey his voice. And if you have true faith in him and his conviction, and you start obeying that conviction on your heart, then yes, you are saved. If you also endure to the end and overcome. Okay? That's what that's saying there. So by grace, conviction, through faith, obedience, have you been saved. So if you're not obeying, if you haven't circumcised your heart to the 10 Commandments, then you are not saved. Okay, that is a lie from the pit of hell. All right, so back to Ephesians 2. So this is where, right, it talks about the good works. So the covenant, so when you keep reading in up here in 11 through 13, therefore remember that you once Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by what is called circumcision, made in the flesh by hands. At that time you were without Messiah, being aliens from the covenant of Israel, strangers from the covenants of promise, having no hope and without God in the world. But now Messiah Yeshua, who were once far off, have been brought near by the blood of Messiah. All right, so we see in Ephesians 2:10, right here, right, that for we are his workmanship, created in Messiah Yeshua for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. And then we see up here in verse 12, it talks about being strangers from the covenants of promise. And so basically, when you look in the concordance, covenants, you see Abraham covenant, Noahide covenant, and then you see the one given at Horeb. So that's for all men. A lot of people think it's just for the Jews, but they don't realize Jews only make up 2 tribes, and not only that even the sojourners, strangers who were, who left with Israel out of Egypt, the mixed multitude, they also had to keep the 10 Commandments as well. So his covenants of promise, that were given to them, but also to us, that he wants us to do, is the 10 Commandments. So if you're not keeping the 10 Commandments, then you have no hope, and you are without God, and you're in the world, and you're still in your sin. That's what that's saying. And this is this is Deuteronomy 29, where the covenant, so this is what it says, renewed, right, in Moab. So this is where we can know it's not just for Israel. So this is verse 14 through 15. I would make this covenant, this oath, not with you alone, but with him who stands here with us today before the Lord our God, as well as him who is not here with us today. Okay, so that shows right there that's not just for Israel, but for us. And it even goes with John 17, what Yeshua prayed for, how he prayed not only for those who were alive, but those who would believe later on. And if we believe in Yeshua, if we believe in God, if we believe really in his work done on the cross, then we're going to circumcise our heart to the 10 Commandments and, actually make Yeshua and God our rock and our cornerstone, which is by obeying the 10 Commandments. Okay, that's the life-giving water. This is what Israel desired at Horeb. Deuteronomy 18 shows this, and this is the good works. And so, for by grace, conviction, through faith, you've been saved. So that's what that actually means. You're not saved if you don't obey, because his promises are only for those who obey him, love him. Okay, not for everyone.